Hi, loves. Welcome back to another episode of me sitting in my room, armed with way too much free time and a Wi-Fi connection that should honestly be revoked. So yeah, today I'm serving you some K-pop opinions that literally no one asked for, nobody wanted, and yet here you are clicking on this video anyway. But before we continue, I'll be linking a Google form in my description and pinned comment. So yeah, please go at it and give me your unfiltered K-pop opinions. And I really miss reading your thoughts and opinions, so please do participate if you can. Okay, with all of that out of the way, let's diving into our video. Okay, guys, what we witnessed on Good Morning America was not just a performance, it was a public disaster. A crash and burn moment so messy, I'm shocked my phone didn't file for emotional damages. Aespa's Good Morning America stage was one of the worst K-pop performances I've seen on American television in years. First off, the vocals. Now, Aespa is known as a vocal group, at least that's what I think. But on Good Morning America, those mics were on and maybe they shouldn't have been. The notes were off, the breath control was non existent, and at times it felt like they were gasping for survival instead of singing because it looked like they just rolled out of bed and wandered onto the stage by accident. No energy, no charisma, no effort to connect with the audience. The audience was basically dead. Karina was barely moving, Giselle looked completely over it, and the whole group had the stage presence of four bored interns waiting for their lunch break. And don't get me started on that choreography. What was that? They were so unsynchronized. Moves half heartedly thrown out like they were allergic to effort. It looked more like they were marking the dance during her rehearsal instead of performing live on national television. Espa has one of the most powerful catalogs in the fourth gen, yet here they were giving us nothing. This isn't about one bad performance. This is about how unprepared Aespa constantly seems to be for live stages. It's like SM puts all of their effort into the CGI lore, the concept videos, but forgets the most important thing, the performance itself. When you're on international stage, first impressions matter. And Aespa just told millions of viewers that they can deliver. So yeah, Aespa's Good Morning America stage wasn't just disappointing, it was embarrassing. A wasted opportunity to prove themselves in front of an American audience. Instead of serving next level vocals, it was bottom level. If SM doesn't tighten up their live performances and actually prepare Aespa for live stages, they're going to keep having moments like this. And MICE won't keep making excuses forever. So Lisa won Best K-pop at the VMAs for Born Again, and honestly, that was a cultural crime. Because honestly, this wasn't about artistry, it wasn't about K-pop, it wasn't even about the song. This was the VMAs proving once again that they don't understand K-pop, they just want to exploit it. So to say this win was straight up embarrassing is an understatement. First of all, Born Again is literally an English language westernized solo project, not a K-pop track. No Korean lyrics, no K-pop production style, no ties to the industry that birthed her, just a glossy Americanized attempt at mainstream pop. So giving it best K-pop is like giving Taylor Swift the best Latin song because she once collaborated with a reggaeton artist. It's laughable. VMAs basically told us we don't care what K-pop actually is. We'll slap the label on whatever's convenient. The best K-pop category has always been a scam. It's not about the music, it's about farming fan engagement. They know K-pop fans vote like machines, so they dangle this fake category to drive views and hashtags. If the VMAs actually respected K-pop artists like BTS, 17, Stray Kids, aespa, they would be up for other categories, not just best K-pop. Instead, they shove them into a side category, then hand the award to whoever makes them look the most clout worthy on stage. And we need to brutally be honest here. Lisa didn't win because Born Again was groundbreaking or anything. She won because Lisa is Lisa. She's the fashion darling, the one with the Western connections, the safe face for American audiences. And I am not pinning this on Lisa, but the VMAs. They weren't celebrating artistry. They were using Lisa's global image to flex diversity points. It wasn't a win for Lisa. It was a win for the VMAs PR team. And K-pop fans got played again. Let's not forget, the only reason this category exists is because of K-pop fans, the stands who vote, stream, and trend until your fingers bleed. And how do the VMAs repay that energy? By handing the award to the most marketable face, not the most deserving artist. It's a scam. Fans aren't celebrating a K-pop win. They're celebrating the VMAs patting themselves on the back. Lisa winning Best K-pop for Born Again is the ultimate proof that the VMAs don't understand K-pop. They're just cashing in on it. Born Again isn't K-pop, and this wasn't about music, it was about clout. Until the VMAs stop treating K-pop as a gimmick category, every award they give out will be meaningless. Lisa didn't win Best K-pop. The VMAs won Best Exploitation of K-pop fans, and honestly, that's the only award they deserve. Heejin got exposed with this whole 1945 project situation, and we're gonna be honest here, it was a smoking gun that showed her entire playbook. For someone who built her reputation on being a creative genius, this project didn't just backfire, it exposed just how manipulative, power hungry, and reckless she really is. Min Heejin has been riding on this image of being an innovative visionary who saved K-pop with her concept. But the 1945 project showed that behind the artsy fonts, mood boards, she was plotting control moves, not creativity. It wasn't about music or artistry, it was about positioning herself as the untouchable mastermind who could rewrite the entire industry on her terms. Spoiler alert, it blew up in her face. Let's call it what it is, which is basically a power manifesto. The 1945 project wasn't a creative proposal, it was Min Hee-jing's declaration of war against Hype and anyone she saw as competition. The document showed her plotting ways to dismantle Hype's group, frame herself as the savior of K-pop, and make her girl group the center of the universe. This wasn't innovation, this was corporate sabotage dressed up as vision. Min Hee-jin basically exposed herself as more of a schemer than a leader. Because the hypocrisy is loud. Claimed she cared about protecting her group, keeping them authentic and away from the machine like the system, but 1945 proved she was just as calculated, if not worse, than the system she claimed to be fighting. She wanted control over everything, the narrative, the industry image, even how fans should view rival groups. The woman who cried victim turned out to be the biggest manipulator in the room. Reading through her plans, it's obvious Min Hee-jin thought she was untouchable. She literally envisioned herself as the gatekeeper of K-pop future, deciding who deserved to thrive and who should get buried. The arrogance was dripping from every page. The ego and the delusion was unreal. Instead of focusing on nurturing her group, she was obsessed with industry domination, and now the world knows. The 1945 project destroyed the misunderstood genius myth she tried so hard to maintain, and we all saw it for what it is. A blueprint for manipulation, not music. Though there are some idiots online still defending this, and at this point, they're not proving a point. They're proving they will lose in the first round of Survival of Common Sense edition. Because your defense of her isn't loyalty, it's just public self embarrassment. Because these documents show that her fights with Hype weren't about principle or artistry, they're about ego and power. The 1945 project was supposed to be Min Hee-jin's big masterstroke. Instead, it exposed her as a manipulator with a god complex, more obsessed with power plays and protecting her group or innovating K-pop. She wanted to play puppet master but ended up proving the string so hard she strangled her own reputation. Min Hee-jin didn't just get exposed, she exposed herself. Super Junior siwon is catching heat from K-pop Twitter for showing support to Charlie Kirk, and while I get why people are upset, let us slow down here for a second. Because the way some K-pop fans are reacting to Choi Siwon mourning the death of Charlie Kirk is a perfect example of how outrage culture in fandoms has spiraled into something toxic. First off, yes, Charlie Kirk was a controversial figure. He had polarizing political views, and not everyone agreed with him. That's fine. I'm not saying it's compulsory for people to care, because disagreeing with someone's politics is normal. But here's where things go completely off the rails. Some K-pop fans are acting like Siwon expressing basic human grief is some kind of crime. Siwon has always been open about his faith and conservative leanings. It is not new, it is not shocking. Because Siwon is Korean, he's not American. He doesn't live under American politics, and he doesn't necessarily understand all the baggage that comes with Kirk's brand in the US. K-pop fans love to say idols don't equal politicians, but the moment an idol voices any opinion, they're suddenly expected to be policy experts. Let's remind ourselves of something very simple here. Mourning someone's death does not equal endorsing every single one of their political takes. It means acknowledging that beyond the politics, there was a human being whose life has ended. Reducing a person's entire existence to their political stance is dehumanizing, and dragging someone else for mourning them, that's crossing a line. The irony here is wild. These same fans preach about compassion, empathy, and kindness when it comes to idols, but suddenly all that morality gets thrown out the window the second someone with different political views dies. Having different opinion doesn't erase anyone's right to exist. K-pop idols are humans, not avatars that exist to echo fandom's personal politics. Forcing them to align 100% with the Western fans' ideologies erases their individuality and turns them into puppets. If you only support idols who mirror your political beliefs, then you don't actually support them as artists or people, you're just projecting. Siwon is allowed to feel sadness, he's allowed to post a tribute. Policing someone's emotion because you don't like the person who died is not activism, it's cruelty dressed up as righteousness. And this is where everything goes wrong, when fandoms mistake outrage for justice. Being online and dunking on someone grieving doesn't make you morally superior. It makes you part of a culture that confuses political disagreements with permission to strip away humanity. Dragging Siwon for supporting Charlie Kirk says more about fans than it does about Siwon, and I don't even like the guy. It's about fans projecting their own political expectations onto idols, ignoring context and thriving off of outrage. Idols aren't here to be your moral template. They're artists with their own beliefs, flaws, and perspectives. And at the end of the day, Charlie Kirk was still a human being whose life impacts his loved ones. He was literally gunned down in front of his wife and kids. And Siwon, like anyone else, has the right to mourn without being dogpiled by fans who confuse Twitter clapbacks with saving the world. This situation shows us the ugly side of fandoms. People so obsessed with being right online that they forget about basic decency. If your activism only shows up as cruelty towards people you disagree with, then maybe it's not really activism at all, it's just hate. And that loves concludes today's episode of K-pop opinions. Literally, no one asked for it, but I gave them anyway. If you made it this far without rage quitting, congratulations, you've unlocked a hidden achievement, and you're a G for that. And remember, these are just my opinions. They're not the law of the universe. They're not the gospel, and they definitely shouldn't ruin your day. So before you run to the comment section to tell me I am wrong, just know, yes, you're right, but also no, I'm still right. And also, don't forget to submit your K-pop opinions on the Google form I've linked in the pinned comment. So yeah, like and subscribe to my channel if you love my content, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, loves!